How about it, ladies and gentlemen? Lee Cole here. And Gloria, how are you today?
I am doing well. Hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, how's everybody doing?
So, y'all should be able to hear us. You should be able to see Gloria's screen. If someone would say yes. Art, nice to see you again. Thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Yeah,
So, Gloria, I think we're good to go.
excellent. Okay. Yes, so let's go ahead and get going on day 3, which is all about really offering this as a service. Now, we spent quite a bit of time yesterday in really kind of solidifying the offer, differentiating between the offer and the service that you provide, and then how to basically drive the traffic. Remember, we're selling the click, not really selling the offer. We let the sales page and the sales copy and all that type of stuff do that. So we went over all that and some technical stuff yesterday about the automation. And then we're going to talk about how do we actually convert, like what how do the leads come in? Do they come in? I mean, how does this all look, right? And then we kind of have a really deep dive into that entire process, as well as how to offer this as a service, and then how to actually set up, manage their social media presence. And then I also have some stuff for upsell, that things that you could do to upsell, which would be like a really nice upsell to this, but you don't want to get going on that right away. And then we'll talk about some last minute items, and then we'll have some Q&A. So before we get going, are there any questions about anything so far?
How about it, ladies and gentlemen? Paul, I see you have a question. I'm typing out an answer to you. So if you can follow up on that, we'll get you straightened out before the end of the webinar. Anybody else got any questions? I think we're good.
Okay, all right, good deal. All right, so how do we actually convert leads from this kind of social media blast, right? Well, remember, this is really just attraction marketing or content marketing. We're just doing it at scale, and then with the help of AI, we're doing it not only at scale, but we're doing it in 100% automated fashion. Okay, so but it is still what we consider attraction marketing. It's basically the same, kind of theory behind attraction slash content marketing, which is that's why I spent a little bit of time yesterday on it still is important to dial in your content. Okay, because remember, we're trying to sell the click. And so you want to make sure that the content that you put out, that it does kind of resonate with your audience, and it is going to be a numbers game. So it's not going to resonate with all of your audience, but depending on where they are in their pain cycle, and how much your content is a match, and it'll resonate with those that'll raise their hand. Okay, and typically attraction marketing slash content marketing was always the gold standard, because the leads come in warm, because they've already been pre-educated, trust has been built up, all of that stuff. So it really should be a relatively shorter sales cycle. Okay, and you can do a couple of things. You can go ahead, and they call it in your social media profile an in bio link. So that is where you can link to, say, a sales page or a product page. They can buy unassisted. So you do the content gets them all hot and bothered. They want to know more about you. They click on your link, and then that link is going to take them to a page where they can buy something of yours. Okay, it can be an info product, it can be an e-commerce type of product, it can be an affiliate offer, it can be a digital download. It's something where it's unassisted. All right, that's one way that it can be set up. Or you can link to a squeeze page if you want to do list building. Maybe it's a squeeze page to like a lead magnet and a giveaway, and then you get them on the list, and then you have like a little bit of a nurture sequence from your marketing automation platform, or you link, your in-link bio is to like your calendar, and you just want to get appointments, and then from there you'll follow up and do what's necessary to turn them into a client slash customer. All right, so those are a couple of ways that the leads are going to come in, and it's all going to be based on your in bio link. Okay, so wherever that drives them to. All right, so you want to keep that in mind, and you may want to tweak your prompt to make sure that it does a very, very mild call to action. For more information, check out the link in my bio, something like that. Okay, so I think that it would be very important to go ahead and get some analytics set up so you can kind of see what is working and what isn't working. Okay, you really want to kind of identify what's working, and then like we talked about yesterday, we're going to feed that back in and improve the content, so the content will have kind of this continuous improvement type of thing. All right, so that's kind of like the how that leads will come from social media is all from the in bio link. I keep getting that like reversed. And so what you want to do, again, what I do is I make sure that I map all of this out, that I'm 1000% clear on what my in bio link should be, where it should be going to, what the content is going to be on that in bio link, whether it be a squeeze page or a sales page or a calendar or whatever, calendar link or whatever. And what you also want to do is you want to make sure, and this is what Lee famously calls, they want to swim. You want them to swim in the middle of the stream, okay? They're already kind of sold on you, or they would not have clicked on that link. All right, they typically, we know links like that lead to somewhere. It usually doesn't lead to like more information. It leads to some type of, I'm going to want you to opt in, or I'm going to want you to buy something from me. We just know that if we're going to click on a link, it's for something like that, right? And so they're already convinced, they already clicked on the link. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that wherever that link goes to, it is a smooth transition from the content. Okay. So what I would do is once you figure out like what that in bio link is going to be, then you feed that into ChatGPT and tell it, I'm going to do an in bio link. It's going to go to this sales page. I want to make sure that what happens is that they quote unquote, kind of swim in the middle of the stream. And then ChatGPT will help you to make sure that they transition from your social media content that they've been seeing to the link, and that it doesn't introduce questions, right, Lee? I mean, I guess that's really the big thing, is you don't want them to have questions, because questions lead to possible confusion, and then that gives them an exit stage left, right?
You never, ever want anybody to think.
It
Seriously.
kind of sounds weird, but yeah. Yeah. At that point, you want them just to be on, just it's a straight line process. They've already done the thinking, and now the thinking is out of the way. They've thought and they've made the decision that I want to see more of what you have to offer. All right. So that part is very, very important, because you can, basically have really good content. A lot of people can click on the link, but if there is any confusion or anything, then they might not kind of complete that process. Right? They might just bounce off, right? And so keep that in mind, that make sure, and I always do this, and I make sure that there is a straight line. And this is where sometimes we're working with ChatGPT for a while till I am 100% clear on this. All right, and then I'll feed it, I'll drop in, here's a screenshot of, what the lead magnet looks like. I'll download the lead magnet. Here's a screenshot of the sales page. Here's, the thing that got them from the, to the squeeze page. Here's the type of content, whatever. And then I ask ChatGPT to critique the link, where the link goes to, sales page, squeeze page, whatever, and make sure that and I say this, and ChatGPT understands it. I say, I want to make sure that they are swimming down the middle of the river, okay, or, whatever you want to call it. And I want there to be a straight line from coming off of the social media to clicking my in bio link to completing that process. And it'll help you so that that is a straight line process. That part is very, very important. All right. And then the analytics will help you kind of see what's working, how many clicks are actually going to the in bio link from which pieces of content, which subjects are kind of resonating, all of that type of stuff. Okay. Any questions on this and what we just covered here?
Not so far, guys. Let us know if you got questions. And of course, we'll have Q&A at the end. Toussaint wants to know, what is an in bio link?
Yeah, so an in bio link is going to be in your social media profile, which is called the bio, right? Usually, like in Instagram, a lot of places it's going to be a place where you can put like a URL or a website, right? And that is, people that are like on heavy users of social media and stuff, they're kind of trained that if they want more information, they'll go to the in bio link. So yeah, that's kind of where it is. It's just where you put your URL, basically. Okay, and they all pretty much have them, right? So let me let's do this. Let me just.
Well, also, some of these platforms we're talking about, you can't put a link on your post.
That's right. So you
It's
only have.
just, you got one place, which is on your profile. So
that's exactly right. So, okay, so this is like, for example, okay, this is in the Twitter, I call it the Twitter machine. This is somebody's page. This would be their in bio link. Okay, so somebody sees some of their tweets. Oh, I like that. And then they want more information. Then they're probably, you see, he doesn't even have anything. It's just content. They don't do any like, oh, go to my in bio link. They just, it's by the power of their content. And then someone might say, oh yeah, this is like, let me see what's going on. And they would go there. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. And all of them will have that in their, this is kind of called the bio, basically. Okay. And, Instagram has it and all that type of stuff as well. Okay, so any other questions?
we are good to go.
All righty. All right, so, all right, now let's talk about like offering this as a service. And I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about some of the logistics and stuff like that. All right, so you are going to want to actually have separate instances of this automation for each client inside of your make.com, your make.com, kind of, I guess, structure, okay? Because each one is going to be different. Each client's going to be different. Their needs are going to be different. And all of them are going to go to a single, the social media profiles that are connected to that make automation. So you want to make sure that you have a separate instance for each client. You want to make sure that you dial in, like we did yesterday, the service, the offer, the audience. So review all of day 2. You want to kind of go through that same process that we did yesterday for each client. You will also want to set up analytics for your clients. when you're, it's really important. It has been for me, for clients to kind of prove my value, prove my worth, right? With the numbers that, and the numbers don't lie. Also, you need to make sure that once you do make the sale, all right, that you will want to gather their social media account information, because that is going to have to be connected inside of make.com. And you may have to work through like PIN code challenges if they have like two-factor authentication on their social media and stuff like that. And so what we do when we run into like a two-factor authentication situation is Danzel will coordinate with that person on the other end. We're having issues, it's two-factor PIN code challenge, and if you let me know when you will be available, it just takes like 2 minutes, 5 minutes at a specific time, like say tomorrow or whatever, I will do the PIN code challenge, you will see it, and then you just send it to me. It has to be done very fast, like within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or else the challenge, he explains all that, then it'll kind of, you need to get a new one, so we have to act fast. And once you might have to do a little bit of coordination like that. Okay, that's just part of dealing with clients and social media and stuff. All right, so kind of keep that in mind. What questions do you guys have regarding offering this as a service? Any questions? Who, what, where, when, why, how, or anything?
So far, so good. But, again, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so who should you sell this to? Like, because we do
Well,
get that.
just
Yeah.
hang on. Art doesn't have a question, but he has a really good point, which I think
Mhm.
is extremely important. Got to do it for me first.
Yes, 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 yes. That's such a good point. And thank you for bringing that up, Art. What that does when you do that for yourself is a couple of things. Number one, you're going through the process, so you understand, the PIN code challenge, and you understand how to set things up. You understand how to, get the right prompts to ChatGPT. You understand where to get the right output, the source material. You understand how to do your own offer and, services and packaging and all that type of stuff. So you go through that process. And then what happens is when you do work through it, then you're no longer like a newbie, right? You've gone through it, so you have a little bit of experience and you can speak from experience, and then that will help you when you're dealing with the client. Also, this is how, like this, if this is how you're going to be getting your leads, because it's the content marketing strategy, then you will need to do this, right? And then get it dialed in and stuff. And so by doing that, you're proving that you can do it, right? Because you've done it for yourself. You've driven traffic from your own content to the point where it's converted, where you're speaking to this one client. You see what I'm saying? So by doing it yourself and going through this, it does a lot for you. I think the most thing is that you're not in the dark anymore. And for me, it always gave me confidence, right? And then you can speak, when you speak with confidence to a client, like as in like what you're doing, it gives them confidence. They can tell, their spidey sense goes up and they can tell, do you know what you're doing or don't you know what you're doing? They're going to make a judgment call, and do they trust you to do what you say you can do or not? All right. And then if you have the confidence because you've done it and you've proven it, then that helps so much. It goes a long way towards the sales process. Let's put it that way. Right, Lee?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because you really understand what the person you're talking to probably sees and doesn't see.
Yes.
And Patricia's got a really good comment. I think that's a comment, Patricia, as opposed to a question. If there's a question embedded in there, please let me know. But basically, she says she needs to see it set up and used by her first.
Mm-hmm.
Which absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, Now, let's do this because I've got a couple of questions from Yvonne and Toussaint that are very, very similar. And let's just back up a little bit. So,
Hmm.
Toussaint, I'm not sure what you sell or want to sell. Yvonne, you told us, I think it's either yesterday, the day before, that you're
Yeah,
doing
paid ads. Yeah.
pay-per-click,
Mhm.
or paid ad stuff.
Yeah.
Let's suppose that we're Yvonne, okay?
Hmm.
And let's suppose that Yvonne says, don't understand how to offer this as a service. So let's suppose that, so Yvonne, I'm assuming you understand why you need to do this for yourself as a PPC expert, right? Okay, cool. So Yvonne understands why to do it for Yvonne as a PPC expert. So Gloria, let's say we're Yvonne.
Hmm.
We got the machine built for ourselves. It's spewing out content everywhere. We're, getting more leads, more calls, more sales, all that stuff. And we are getting people, we're getting more clients for our PPC, service that we're offering. How would you use this? What we're talking about here? How would you use this in conjunction with them?
Yeah,
Maybe.
so a couple of ways. If you're just using this to drive sales to your already existing service that you offer, you don't have to sell this as a service. We provide the training to sell these types of things as a service because everybody wants to know, well, how can I sell this as a
Right.
service, right? Because it's 100% automated. So, you may not want to offer this as a service, right? And if you might just want to drive traffic for your PPC
Mhm.
stuff, and if that's the case, then yeah, that's perfectly fine. If you wanted to say, how could I kind of weave this into my PPC thing? You could probably do like maybe some retargeting. You could talk to them about doing this, getting the really high traffic posts, the ones that are actually getting a lot of views and stuff promoted, so more eyeballs go on it, or do retargeting. So it could fit like that if you wanted it to. It would not have to if you don't want it to do, so you could just stick with just pure PPC. But that is an option, a way that it could work like that.
Let me add one more quick thing to that. So Yvonne, let's say you've got, I don't know how many you have. I mean, it doesn't matter, 5, 10, 15, 20 clients that you're doing ads for. And let's say that you've got a client, you've been doing ads for a month or two, it's working great, they're happy, they're making more money than they're spending and all that stuff. I'm I'm assuming that you're good at communicating with your clients. All of y'all should be, and through email or even through just calling them up, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say that either way, but let's say that however you communicate with your clients, I would reach out to them and say, let's say I have a client whose name is Greg, just so I have somebody to talk about. I would reach out to Greg and say, hi, Greg, this is Yvonne. We talked last week and glad you're really happy with the, paid ad service. By the way, I've got a really, really great idea that I think would help you enormously. We would do this in conjunction with the paid ad service. And quite frankly, both of these together, the sum is so much greater than the parts. Something like that, some kind of teaser like that. When would be a good idea for me to take about 10 minutes and show you what I'm talking about? Or excuse me, when would be a good time for me to take about 10 minutes, show you what I'm talking about? So, obviously, Greg's going to get back with you about that. You've proven yourself. You're trusted. You're a trusted person now. Greg's going to say, well, let's talk, next Monday at 4, something like that. Cool beans. Next Monday at 4. Then Monday at 4, since Yvonne said you're doing this for yourself, right? And it could easily be that Greg came to you through doing this for yourself, which would be even better. Then I would just say, so Greg, hi Greg, this is Yvonne. Again, really glad the paid ad stuff's working for you. I also offer a service where we do all your social media marketing, or as much as you want us to do. You'd have to figure out how you want to say that. Where I do a lot of your social media marketing for you. It's compared to what you're going to get out of it. It's a very cost-effective service. And this plus the paid ads is going, it's a multiplier. Can I show you a little bit about what I do for myself? You know, and then you would just take Greg on a little tour of the social media, platform. You don't, it's what I call show and sell. Okay. Just, go over to X, go over to Instagram, go over to where you are. And, you see all these posts. Now look, Greg, I've got 5 posts that posted yesterday. I can guarantee you that I do not sit here all day long and post those 5 posts. Okay. I use, I have a system that does this. By the way, I mean, everybody loves AI now. By the way, it's an AI powered system, and we can do this for you. We can do this for you. We can set this up for you. We get it set up within a week, and we can be posting really good content specifically for your business. This is not reused content. This is specific for you and your business to all these social media platforms. And again, this along with the ads, the sum is greater than its parts. Are you interested in this? I would just flat out. I mean, who's not going to be? Notice I hadn't stated the price yet. Are you interested in this? I mean, Greg's going to be interested in it. How much you charge for this? Then how much you charge? Gloria's got all the, goes over how much to charge, all that. Blah 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 blah. Right? I can guarantee you, Yvonne. You may stumble once or twice when you talk to your first couple of people, but after that, you're going to close 80%, if not more, of the people you talk to. And what you're closing them on is a recurring deal, right? How much ever you're charging. It's, you pay monthly. You would tell Greg, you pay monthly, our service dings your credit card every month. Stop it at any time, although I can guarantee you're not going to want to stop it ever. And, then you're done. I just need some information. Then you go into the onboarding stuff. I just need some information from you to get started, et cetera, et cetera. That's how that would be how you upsell this. And so now, Yvonne, you've got the paid ads income stream, and you've got this income stream, right? Except this one takes a lot less work than the paid ads, although you can use AI for paid ads too. But my point is now you're doubling up income streams per client. That means whatever your goal is, I've now cut in half the time that it's going to take you to get there. That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And Toussaint, you're asking a very, very similar question. How should we be positioned to offer the service? I'm thinking, so Toussaint, basically, and Gloria, jump in on this, but I'm thinking basically, Toussaint, you need to get this up and running for yourself. I think you asked Gloria at some point. I can't remember if that was on a webinar or via email. And it's not that I'm snooping on snooping on people's emails. I just get CC'd on everything, and it's the business that Gloria and I run together. So I like to stay, up on what's happening. But I think you were talking about modifying your LinkedIn profile and all that stuff. So yeah, you would need to do all that stuff to encompass this, but you need to get this machine up and running for yourself. All right. And then when you get this machine up and running for yourself, you're in the same position that Yvonne would be in, except you're not doing the paid ads. You just have more leads, more sales. And Yvonne and Toussaint and everybody else, let's go back to Yvonne, the little story I'm talking about for Yvonne. Yvonne, when you're talking to Greg, if Greg came to you through your social media posting that you use this AI stuff for, I would just, I would remind Greg. Now, Greg's not going to know it was AI, right? But I would just remind Greg of that. I said, Greg, you remember how you found me? yeah, I kept seeing these really cool posts on X about businesses like mine and AI. I said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do for you. That thing. By the way, AI does all of that for me. I'm going to set up the whole thing and we're going to do it for you. It is so much easier to sell something, guys, when you can show them, you know, way back in the day, you remember when WordPress sites did not, have the mobile stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then we went through like a year or two of selling businesses mobile friendly sites. I used to walk into businesses like, consumer businesses. I loved restaurants. I used to walk into businesses with my phone, and I had two websites pulled up on my phone. I had their website, pulled up, which looks like crap on my phone. And then I would have a mobile website, an example website pulled up. And I would just walk up to the cashier or anybody. They're going to send you to the right person. I just walk up to the cashier, show them my phone with their website on there, and say, "Excuse me, I just need 2 seconds of your time. Is that your website?" "Oh, yeah, that's your website." "Man, it's really hard to read." And then I would swipe over. "Do you see this website?" "Yeah, I build websites like this for businesses like yours. Can I talk to somebody about this?" I mean, I don't think I ever had anybody turn me down to talk to them. So that's what I call show and sell. And you
Mm-hmm.
can do the same thing. You you don't want to. I mean, because nobody cares. Okay, we care and you care, but your client doesn't care. You don't want to get into the minutiae of, well, I use make.com and blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about that. They care about we talked about that yesterday when we talked about the offer. They just care about, what
Yep.
this is going to do for me with them, right? And so, but it is really cool to remind someone, yeah, you remember when you saw that, you know? And then, you kept seeing that, and you told me on when we were talking about this, the other day, you remember how you kept seeing that and you decided to look into it? Yeah, that's what I'm doing for you. I'm doing that, except it's not just on that one platform. It is freaking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not junk content. It is really quality content specifically designed for your business. Do you want me to do that for you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very few people are going to say no. They're going to say, it sounds pretty interesting. How much is this? And then you give them a price. Bam, you're done. You'll close 80% of those easy.
Yeah. Now, like in terms of positioning, right? Um, so think of positioning like I think there's something a little bit deeper there, like when you're asking Tucson about positioning, right? It's really, as far as this is concerned, the positioning comes across from your profile and then the content, right, that you generate from it, that the system generates for you. That's really the positioning of it. Okay, that's kind of from their perception, that's what they're going to see, and that's where they're going to kind of come up to some type of conclusion of, what you do, who you are, do they trust you, all that type of stuff. All right. So, what you want to do is you just want to make sure, like we talked about yesterday, that your profile is all in sync with, again, it should be this straight line with whatever your offer is. You don't want them to be confused. Your profile says one thing, and then the in-link bio, when they click on it, says something completely different. So part of it is making sure everything cooperates with one another and everything is singing off the same hymn sheet. And then it's just really kind of, the bio is, like you saw in the X bio, it's just a few words, a little bit about like what you do, right? Pretty much, or what you're into or whatever. And that's really all there is to it. I would not worry about, oh, I don't have this positioning as this big influencer, this big thought leader, or anything like that. It really, quite frankly, it doesn't matter. That is what is so unique now about content marketing and attraction marketing, and why we kind of have the playing field leveled. Number one is you can have a relatively new account or fresh account or account that doesn't really have a lot of followers or whatever, and you can put a piece of content out there, and if it's really compelling, you're going to get as many views on it as if someone were like a big influencer or something like that. So that is the power of content marketing. All right. And so all you really need to worry about is, you just make sure, like we talked about, test the automation to make sure the content, kind of, and the source that you're feeding it, I call the feeder, and then your content, the output, is coming out to make it seem like you know what you're doing, and the content adds value for whoever your audience is. All right, and that's really the amount of positioning that you need to do. That's pretty much it. You don't need to worry about, oh, I've got to be this big thought leader, or, I've got to have X number of followers. No, that's really not how it works. You just kind of go out of the gate, and you're just like, you got the big cojones, right? You have this, I'm just posting content just like an influencer does 10 times a day or whatever. I'm going to do the same thing. All right, and you kind of, that's the positioning of it. Hope that makes sense. Do you have any other questions on that? Does that make sense for you, Toussaint? Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Excellent. 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 Okay. So let's talk about like who you should sell this to, because we get that a lot as well. And the answer is that it depends, because everybody's a little bit different. And what I like to do is kind of think or figure out, is there any particular group or target market that I have any experience or familiarity working with, or that I like working with? I kind of understand a little bit about their business model. I understand a little bit about their operations, things like that. And then if you have that, then that gives you a little bit of a low hanging fruit of a target market to work with, right? Because you can kind of speak their language and you understand their business, and that goes a long way. Okay, so if you have that, that is like to me the first option, but you kind of have to like that audience as well, right? You want to make sure that you really like kind of working in that niche and stuff, because if not, then you're going to find that, oh, I really don't like these guys, half of them are jerks, and you're going to try to find another target market. So if you have any experience, any knowledge, or you like working with any people, like I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago, and they just said, I felt compelled and led to work with, XYZ audience, that was just a market that needed my expertise, and I really like it, so that was like where this person felt like, they were kind of compelled to work with an audience. So those are kind of the low hanging fruit answers. Is there a target market that you can get your foot in the door with? Is there a target market that you've worked with before and understand a little bit about their business works? Those are the low hanging fruit. Okay, if not, and you don't have any, and you're like brand new, then you do have a little bit of a blank slate. And you're probably going to want to flush it out with ChatGPT, to maybe say, is there any audience that you'd like to work with? Maybe you heard, oh, there's, they spend a lot of money on marketing. Like we always hear like HVAC and plumbers and, kind of the home-based services. And those are fantastic markets to tap into, man. You get one, they're golden, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like my 2 cents on who to sell this to. And also it's what audience, what target market really kind of needs this type of exposure for their business, right? Anybody that relies on traffic from online, that is the home-based services, that is like the coaches, any type of coach, business coach, fitness coach, that would be the professional services, attorneys, CPAs, bookkeeping, financial, insurance. That would be, let me see, home service, professional services, and then it would probably be, let me see, what other, we talked about like medical, maybe medical services, chiropractic, dental, things like that. So those are ones that really, require an online presence. Think of like anybody that really requires like they're a Google listing type of thing, those types of businesses, right? Because they require online people to find them, and then from the web, people to either, reach out to them somehow, right? And so this really goes hand in hand with that, because people are going to see them online via their social media footprint. And like we had said yesterday, I think it was yesterday or maybe it was day one, with this whole like AI SEO thing, right, which is a real deal. And, we talked about it in, I think, our GBP multimodal thing, that a lot of traffic is getting, or search is getting diverted away from Google to, these AI systems, basically large language models, the ones that we deal with all the time and stuff like that. And so there's a trust factor with this AI SEO thing. And what builds trust with that whole EEAT thing is a lot of like the social footprint type of thing too. It kind of helps with the trust thing. So this to me, it's like a very similar audience. So if you're thinking like, I have no idea who to work with, a place to start would be the same types of businesses that rely on, like, say, Google Business, or, that get their business from online, basically. Okay. But you will want to flush it out with ChatGPT. Again, pretend and work with ChatGPT like it is a business coach, like you just hired a business coach to kind of help you work through all these questions you have in your brain, and you're not sure, who you should work with and how you should present this to them and all that. Then, ChatGPT can act as your business coach. As a matter of fact, in the prompt, you can say, and I do this a lot. I see, I'm kind of, looking for your guidance from like a business coach perspective. I'm trying to work my way through this problem. And, I don't want to get lost in the weeds, that type of thing, and ask me any questions. I'll give it a little bit of background information about the problem. And then I'll always say, ask me any questions so that you can help me better. So you can get the information so that you can help me better. And that's what you're going to want to do in this situation too. Again, I will sit there until I'm 1000% clear, and I am clear on the who, what, where, when, why, how, everything. And then I have it solidified in my brain, and then I can just charge forward and then build it out, all of that type of stuff. Okay, any other questions on this who to sell to portion?
We have some questions, all of which are valid. A couple of which I want to talk about now. Stephen, I answered you, but I think this is worth talking about. On Facebook, can you use a Facebook page instead of your main page? We kind of covered that day before yesterday or yesterday. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's not worth covering now. It's a really important thing.
Yeah, it is a Facebook page. Okay, you can't post because Facebook doesn't allow it in Make, where I guess there was like spam posting and stuff like that, like, so it has to be to a business page, and then for the Instagram piece too, it's an Instagram business page as well. So yeah, that's what you definitely want to do, and so you can keep it separate from your other Facebook personal stuff, basically. Yep.
And Paul and I are having a conversation just about stuff. Paul, I mean, not about this, but just helping Paul with some stuff. Paul, finish that thought. Got the following message. I need to know what message, because I'm pretty sure I know and I can straighten you out. Johnny's got a really good question. When
Okay.
selling home services or
Mhm.
for any small business, how many clients can you serve in a single regional area? Should you limit yourself to one service per provider, per city or county or something? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's such a great question. When I used to do SEO back in the day, and what I would do is I would do like only one client in a specific niche, right? So that I wouldn't be competing, trying to rank somebody and then trying to rank somebody else for the exact same keywords. I don't think this is that, kind of that black and white, if you will, Johnny, because their offer is going to be a little bit different, right? Like, I'm going to give you an example. I worked with two HVAC companies at the same time, and one of them, their focus was on more like the commercial refrigeration units. Okay. And the other one was more on like the home. They did like HVAC and electrical and plumbing, and they did the whole thing. So in a situation like that, where you've got the two that are focused on kind of two different sub areas, even though they're in the same line of work, then you could do them. But if you had two businesses and it was kind of the exact same footprint, they're going after the exact same thing, exact same target market, exact same part of town, all that type of stuff, then you're going to have to use a little bit of a judgment call. But I would say no, but typically you're not going to have that perfect of an overlap. Okay, it's not going to fit that way. There'll be, one will focus on one market, another will focus on a different market, that type of thing. So you should be okay. But that's what I would do as a rule of thumb, is if it was like two that was exactly the same target market, exactly the same geographical area, probably wouldn't do it, to be truthful with you. But
So
typically it's
basically, if
very hard.
they're
Yeah.
yeah, so basically, if they're true competitors.
Yes, like true competitors, like shadow of one another.
Hmm.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. All right. What other
unless
questions?
you live in a really small area, you know.
Yeah. That's a
Uh,
little bit different. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say, and I mean, it's according to how you're getting clients.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're getting clients through doing this, and like we were talking to Devon about, then I mean, you could have a client in Anaheim, California, a client in Boise, Idaho. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, most of the clients are not going to be right on top of each other. But if you're doing more traditional sales route, like on your network meetings and stuff like that, you might actually run into, a couple of businesses that actually are competitors. And,
Yeah.
you would, worst case, you would want to at least tell them both this,
Yeah.
or decide not to work with the second one, which will probably be even better, because then there would never be any hard feelings in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's
Right.
my 2 cents.
Yep. Sage advice. Any other questions?
Hang on, I'm still getting Paul straightened out.
Okay.
Um, Art mentions we also need to clean up our clients' profiles. Yeah, I mean, most people, who
Yeah.
knew how to, I mean, you're in business, you're in an HVAC company. I mean, your profile the first time, you're really just trying to get through those stupid questions and finish, right? You're not really thinking about the details from marketing point of view. So there's that, Art. That's a really, really good point.
Yeah, that's a great point because you can, that's part of your level of service, right? That you would go ahead and we redo your profiles to make sure everything's singing from the same hymn sheet and that it's really designed to, move people towards the thing that you're offering, basically, and you can explain selling the click and all that type of stuff. For example, what I used to do when I was doing thought leadership content is part of my package is we'll, actually, and I had a professional copywriter that did their profile, basically, right? That would go ahead and do the profile, redo their profile, the banner graphic and everything. And that was, I baked that into the package. It was like concierge level service, right? So you can offer that and bundle that in, and that'll separate you from somebody that's just, yeah, we'll just throw crap content up there and just blast it out. That's the difference between a professional and not a professional. Okay, so yeah, good
Really
comment
good
there.
questions.
Yeah, very good.
John,
Very,
one more. Johnny wants to know if you can use this for affiliate marketing.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
E-com,
Absolutely.
yeah, anything, print on demand, e-com, whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Affiliate marketing, 100%. Yeah. You just want
And
to make sure day two, what we went over was you're selling the click and then, go over day two and what we talked about, because that'll help you with all that.
Johnny wants to, we got a follow-up question. I guess my question is more, how would you frame the strategy? It really
Yeah.
depends on two different things. I mean, do you want someone to go to like an Amazon, sales page for TVs or, for a specific TV? Or do you want, or are you working with the kind of person who's going to buy over and over again? It really depends on that distinction. What would you do, Gloria?
Yeah, so yeah, again, you're right, spot on that it depends on the strategy. And that's where you really have to think everything through. And what I use to think everything through is ChatGPT. So if it's like affiliate to an Amazon thing, that's going to be a different it's going to be a different process than say to I don't know, maybe you want to sell them affiliate stuff, but you want them to opt in, right? So you want to do list building on top of the affiliate stuff. So that would be a completely different strategy. So it depends on what what you have to sell. Yeah.
I agree
But
with that 100%.
yeah, but go over day two and the prompts and the whole chat GPT conversations that we've shared and stuff, and that should really help you. Again, if just pretend chat GPT is like your coach, and if you had hired a coach and you said, I want to do this attraction marketing or content marketing thing and drive it to my affiliate, then they would be like, okay, what's your affiliate thing? Tell me more about your affiliate thing, ask you a bunch of questions on it, right? And then they could help you. And that's exactly the same with a chat GPT. So any other questions?
I think we're okay. I need to tell Paul something. Paul, I just sent you another email. At the top of the email is something you need to do. Make sure you do that. That's probably your problem. I'm done. It was just easier than typing. I've literally just been sitting here just typing away, answering questions, which I'm happy to do. I love doing that, but at some point, I've been typing all day. I mean, literally.
Yep, that is that's a lot of time typing in front of the computer. Okay, let's talk about a typical sales process overview for if you're selling this as a service. Okay, so what's going to happen? Say you're running this content rocket content for yourself. at scale. You're blasting out a bunch of content. You've got your offer all figured out. You've got everything all figured out. Someone sees your content. Then what's going to happen is if they want to know more, they're going to like click on your link, right? Just like we kind of showed with that X link. What you want to do is, however, you're going to go ahead and probably have to talk to them. It's not going to be like a shopping cart type of checkout process. So they're going to reach out to you. You're probably going to want to go through a sales process where you talk to them. Yeah, this is what we do for you. You want to buy it, that type of thing. You present to them your offer, okay, which is kind of your package, what you sell. And I call it a Godfather offer. It is an offer that they can't refuse. All right. So you have to really, that's why I say really think about it and make it what we call an irresistible or a Godfather offer. All right. Now, say you have that offer. Let's just say, okay, we're going to do your profile. We're going to go through and we're going to redo all your profiles, all your profile graphics, make sure everything's singing off the same hymn sheet. We're going to go ahead and we're going to test to make sure the content resonates. And we're going to make sure that whatever they click through, it's a straight line, right? Say that's kind of what you offer. And you've got, the silver, gold, and platinum package. You add a couple of things on there. The silver package is X number of posts for, $500 a month, and then the X number of social channels for X, $500 a month. The gold is a level up, maybe more channels and more posts, and then the platinum is like pure concierge service and stuff like that, right? So you've got those. You give them the price. And the price, you want to, Alex Hormozy has a really, it's called, I think, $100,000 offer or something like that. You can find a lot of that information online. ChatGPT has memory hold that information. It has it in its memory too. And you can dice and slice these offers, right? So let's just say you have one, it's a 6-month, let's just say $500 a month. And it's 6 months. You'll do this for 6 months, and everything else that we included. And they bulk at it a little bit. Maybe 500 isn't in their budget, but 300 is, right? So what you want to do is your goal is you want to make say $500 times 6 months. That's $3,000. All right. So what you're basically selling your thing for at the end of the 6 months, you're going to get $3,000. It's just going to be over time, right? You're going to get $500 a month for 6 months. All right. So for me, it doesn't matter how I dice and slice that $3,000. All right, as long as I get that $3,000. So what I would do is I would say, look, something like, this is going to help you. We know it's going to help you. It's going to help you, and I understand you're a little bit hesitant. Things are a little bit tight. So why don't we do this? Because I'm going to make you an offer, the friends and family offer you can't refuse, whatever you want to say, and just say, what if we go ahead and here's a couple ways you can dice and slice it. For the first 2 months, so a third of our time of doing this, we'll go ahead and do it for $300 a month, right? And then we will wait, and then the last 2 months we'll kind of add on the differential, so your last 2 months, months 5 and 6 are going to be $700 instead of $500. But because of all the good work that we're going to be doing, you should realize that anyway. So it's going to work out because you're going to get, new customers, blah, blah, blah. That is an example of how you can kind of dice and slice it. All right. What I'm trying to get across to you guys is that the end all be all is not, oh, they don't want to take the $500 a month or whatever. As long as you're getting that, whatever, that end price is, then dice and slice it however you need to. What if we go ahead and waive that first month? we'll go ahead and get everything started, or waive the first 2 months, and then we'll do, 4 months at, whatever, $700 or whatever that amount is, or $725 a month. I think that'll equal the 3,000. So you can dice it and slice it a couple different ways so you don't lose that deal. Okay, that's just kind of something to think about. And if you have any questions, like that's exactly what I would do, is I would say, ChatGPT, here's a situation. I have, I had a sales call. I have someone that, here's my pricing. Give me some options that I can create alternative offers, and then have them in your back pocket. So if they object and the objection is pricing and it's real, as in, things are tight, then you have a couple ways so you can maybe salvage the deal. Okay. It's called being prepared to your sales meeting. All right. And so, so you present your offer, they buy it, okay, you get your payment. Now this part is very, very, very important. You are going to want to set up an onboarding process. All right. And onboarding does not need to be this long drawn out, you got to meet them and pick their brain and all that type of stuff. You just need to collect the information that you need in order to fulfill what you sold to them. That's really all it is. And depending on what your offer consists of, right? It might be able to be done online with, like, say, a Jot form or Google form, or maybe you will have to meet them. It all really depends on the price, the offer, and the level of service. All right, so those are kind of some things that you want to think about when, and again, this is the stuff that you flush out with ChatGPT. So and when you do that, then you're not afraid of talking to someone, because you know exactly the process that needs to happen. Okay, because a lot of times what I see happening is that we can set ourselves up for failure because we don't know really what's next. And so because we don't know what is next for the client, we can't guide them to make the purchase, and then do what we need to do to fulfill. All right. So before I launch anything, and Lee knows this, I mean, it is like 1000% clear, every single step, every minutia step. Okay. But then once I have that, I had a really good mentor when I first got in the tech industry, and he said, 80% of your time is going to be spent in the planning phase, and then 20% is really in the execution. Once you do the planning and the devil is in the details, and you measure twice and you cut once, right? Then it goes pretty easy from there. So now in the day, we never had ChatGPT to kind of help us think through all this. We would spend hours upon hours of researching, trying to see, are there anybody else that we could see online, or, know of, and groups and this and that may have some information we can glean from some of their posts, or, comments or whatever. We used to have to kind of like scour to find this information, but now we have it at our fingertips, and we can very easily make sure that we know exactly what takes place, so we can lead the client to the sale and then lead them through the fulfillment process. Okay, so that you do what you promised you would do and what they paid for. All right, so any questions on the onboarding piece?
I think we're very good.
Okay, good deal. All right, so once they buy, all right, you're immediately, after they buy, they go to onboarding, and then you want to kind of get them up and running, as quickly as you can, so that they can start seeing the thing in action and stuff like that, because that momentum is really important. And psychologically, they go, oh, okay, the things are going and stuff. If they wait for months while this campaign launches, and they, kind of loses momentum and they lose excitement and stuff. So, you'll need their account info, all of the socials that you're going to be posting for them. You'll need their target audience. You'll need that overall quote unquote message that sells the click, right? And then you'll need what they want the end result to be. And then once you have that, you can pretty much build out their automation for them. Okay, so however you get this information and work through it, you'll want to make sure that you do. Now, I used to do onboarding appointments. Mine was a little more complex than this. This to me is relatively easy. I would probably, if this were me, I would probably have one onboarding appointment and get all this information. You could get this in about an hour session, 45-minute session. I would record it, okay, and then you could transcribe it. And then from the transcription, you can go ahead and feed that transcription into ChatGPT and then kind of, get all this done for you. That would, to me, would be the easiest thing to do. Okay, so yeah, so any questions on this part of it?
I think we're very good. How would you transcribe that or get that transcribed?
Yeah, so I use a transcription software, Otter.ai, but even online, like one time I really used my monthly allotment for Otter, and I didn't have any credits, so it didn't roll over until the next month. And I needed to transcribe some, I think, webinars or something, or some video stuff. And then I just asked like ChatGPT, do a search for me and find some free transcription services. There
Very nice.
are, yeah, and there are several free transcription services on, available online that you just like drop in your video, URL or whatever, and it'll transcribe it just as good as like a paid service. You get the transcription just like you would. So yeah, so there are those free ones. You don't have to invest in that. And also now remember, we are in the world of AI, in the time of AI, you can drop in the transcript into like a Notebook LM. We've talked about Notebook LM before. We even did a master class like last year, I think, on Notebook LM. And that thing is a powerhouse. Okay, that's a very, very powerful, and it could, kind of help break down and organize this information for you from the transcript as well. So that's another tool that you have that's free. Okay, so building out their automation. All right, so you're going to clone the new automation, which means just re-importing it. When I say clone it, you don't have to like copy and redo it. You're just gonna you get the JSON files in the members area, and we upload them just like we did, where you go to the new scenario in make.com, and then you click on import, and then you import that file, and then boom, everything just kind of appears, right? And so you're just going to have to do that to theirs and then connect everything with their, social accounts and stuff like that. So you're going to take that information from their onboarding, plug it in, and get the what you need to quote unquote sell the click. And then you're going to need to redo the prompts, all right, to make it fit for them, because you have the prompts that fit for you. And then you'll just need to source the content. Okay, where can you get what I call the feeder content? Is it going to be a website that you're just going to, turn into an RSS feed? Are you getting like news sites, Google alerts? You'll have to kind of figure all of that out. And then you're just going to configure, their accounts, plug in the prompts, and then make sure that you test. Okay, it's really important. Now, what I do and what I would do is have your testing social media accounts. So these are kind of throwaway, you have an extra Instagram page, you have an extra Facebook business page, an extra X account, all those are free. You can't really do a LinkedIn, two LinkedIn accounts, because they will get you for that if they find you. Still, they will do that. But then I would, when I'm testing it, I would connect those throwaway accounts to their automation to see what the content looks like. Okay, these are accounts that are not really optimized. You don't want to have really nice banners. They're just like invisible, okay, to the rest of the world on that social media platform. But that way you can see and judge, how is this content, like the quality of content, is it is it going to work for your client? All right, that's how you test it. Okay, so any questions on this?
Not so far. Had a few questions, but I answered them in the background.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right. And then the fulfillment part is simply turning on the automation, and then you're going to track. That's why I say it's really important to do the analytics. You're proving your value, and then you can just report on that, and now again, it is so easy. Like, for I think I was running, I don't know, 12, maybe 15 clients, and it would take us, like I had an operations manager, a customer service manager, really, and he would do, like, it would take him 2 days to do the reports, because he would have to pull the analytics, and then he would have to put them in a report template and format it, and then all that type of stuff. Well, now you can just upload the analytics and throw them into ChatGPT and tell it to create a report for you and include the important information from the analytics, and it'll do it. And then you just, copy paste it, download it, and boom, you're done, right? So you can do that. So, but it is important to do reports, because paying clients and paying customers like to see progress, and they like to see, is this thing working, basically. And then once that happens and you keep them happy, you can upsell them to something later. And I actually have like an upsell that I think would be really, really, and it goes hand in hand. And this is like mega. Okay, this is really high value. People pay a lot of money for this upsell. It is the engagement. Okay, so you can actually, and you can hire somebody, like get somebody to go in once a day. And what they do is they'll go in. A lot of these social posting platforms have what's called a unified inbox. Okay, like Hootsuite, Social Pilot, Status Brew has one as well. And you connect the client's social media accounts to that social posting platform, so that you have access and you can get into their social media account and then do the liking, or whoever, you get someone on Fiverr to do it, and they do the liking and the following and the this and that, to actually grow their account. Okay, and you don't need to do it like several times a day. It's like you'll go in once a day or maybe twice a day, but it is extremely high value. For them to be hands off, they're getting content and they don't have to touch their accounts, and they're getting, the likes and the engagement and the following, and they're, all of that, it's growing. They'll probably never leave, and this is very, very high value, because they know that it's a manual thing. You still really can't do it 100% with AI. That would have to be like a custom AI solution. So you would be doing it manually, right? So yeah, so that to me is like a mega upsell, easy upsell. So any questions on this? Oh, little buddy.
I feel like we're good.
Are we all good, or any questions?
I don't have any more questions. I'm still trying to solve a couple of problems, so
Okay.
keep on talking.
All righty. All right. Now, we are getting kind of towards the end here, and I just wanted to have kind of go over. I was thinking, like, what did I maybe not cover that I should have covered? And what I wanted to make sure that you guys had was, I think it was, yeah, the prompts. Okay, and this part is really, really important. So I want to, okay, so you're not going to have it in the prompt for, we call this module 1, this is module 4, and this is module 5. You will have it, whoops, I don't know what the heck did I do there. You will have it for module 4 and module 5. And actually, I'm sorry, you will have it for this one too. Do you see this where it's orange and it says #1 source? Okay, so this is what it looks like inside of make.com. inside of the actual prompt, this right here is the orange thing. It's the two brackets, the two curly brackets, the number 1 period, and the word source. Okay. You want to keep, that's called the data mapping. And you want to keep the data mapping. All right. So make sure that when you're getting the prompt back, that you have the data mapping, okay, just like this, that it will have that. And then once you copy and paste this in, then what's going to happen is make.com will recognize this right here, and then it'll say, oh, okay, it needs to map to, you know, it's what it's doing is it's saying it's getting it from this first one. All right, so I think all of them have that. You can see right here, it's 36 choices, and then message content, and then it looks like this right here. Okay, those have to stay, even if you change the, you know, a lot of the prompt, this needs to still be in there. So you want to make sure that you say, make sure to ChatGPT to keep the data mappings intact in the prompt when it's redoing the prompt. Okay, so I think all of them, yeah, it's the same because that's the same module. And then this is the image one, and it also has data mappings. It's two. You can see it's right here. Okay, that's a little bit of a technical thing. I did not cover that yesterday, and I want to make sure that you guys had that, because I don't want you to have prompts and then it doesn't have these mappings. It won't work without that. You know, it needs the data from one module to the other. Okay, so that's kind of the big thing for that. Any questions on this at all?
Toussaint wants to know what are the sources for these data mapped items, but let me answer a couple more questions real fast. A couple of people are asking me about how to get in the members area and where stuff is. So guys, everything's in the members area. Okay, so when you bought, you received a login to get to the members area. Furthermore, if you don't know where that is, the login that is, if you will go back to your email and get the Warrior Plus receipt for this product, open that up. There's a little link down there on the bottom left that says something like access your content or something like that. Click on that, and then that will open up a page that has all the login information. Now, barring that, hit me up in support. I'm happy to resend you your login. So all of this stuff, day for yesterday's webinar replay, yesterday's webinar replay, a getting started video, all the stuff that Gloria's talking about here, that's all in there. But why don't you go ahead and make sure you can get in while you got me front and center on this webinar so that I can solve your problem faster. Okay?
Yep, excellent.
There you go.
Yep.
Public service announcement is now over.
All right, so the RSS feed is, that's kind of what makes this a hands-off thing, because if we didn't have something to automatically generate content, we'd have to have a content source or feed content into it. And the RSS service, this is rss.app, and you get some free credits, but then once you sign up, then you'll have an option to, like, I think you can just charge it with a couple dollar credits here and there. I don't think it's a monthly subscription. But what it does is it turns basically, like, you can create an RSS feed from any source web page. So it could be any, really any web page. All right. And so I actually had an email from someone today that wanted a specific question, and they said, could I even upload my content to, say, a blog, and then provide that URL to create an RSS feed? So it's just kind of, feeding from my personal content. And yeah, that is a great way to do it. All right, so Toussaint, that's what that is the RSS feed. You can create it from, basically you can see it from just about any website. You could do a straight up Google News feed, or if you want it to be targeted, a web page to RSS feed is probably the way that you're going to want to go, because that web page is going to be kind of, it'll have some boundaries on, the type of content is going to be specific to whatever that website's about and stuff like that. All right. And if you can find, it doesn't have to be one you own. It could be like, anybody else's website. I mean, it could be any website, to create an RSS feed. Did that answer your question, Toussaint? Okay, any other questions, guys? Lee, are you on mute?
Oh, you know me so well. Of course. Patricia, I'm gonna resend you your login information. So just hang loose 2 seconds. Gloria, dream up something to talk about for the next 3 minutes.
Yeah. No, we'll just kind of see. Do you guys have any other questions? Do you want me to? Oh, I'm glad that you liked it, Johnny. I'm really glad that you got some value out of it. Is there anything else that you guys want me to go over before we right now, before we have our Zoom session, kind of more of the technical stuff, but anything that we've covered in the past couple of days that you guys might not be clear on, any of the prompts, the scenario, anything at all? David has a great question. Yes. All right, he talked about pricing this. It's such a great question. And I didn't cover specific prices because this is going to vary based on what your package is going to be. All right. But how I do my pricing is I will ask ChatGPT to browse. I'll say, this is kind of what I'm thinking of my package, right? This is what I have to sell. And then go ahead and browse and do a search to find comparable pricing for similar type of services. All right. And that'll kind of get you in the ballpark. And then from there, you can dial in your pricing. So the pricing is going to vary based on the number of channels, social media channels that you're doing for them, the amount of, babysitting that you're going to be doing, the number of posts that you're going to be doing, right? The complexity of, like, if they want like this very specific content and, you have to do a lot of testing and stuff to generate that, you make them pay for it. All right. So yeah, so the pricing, just kind of to ballpark it, it can be like, I would not charge less. Like, say I was going to do 3 to 5 posts per day, every day on all channels, even though it's automated, because I will manage it and oversee it and all that type of stuff. There's no way I would charge less than like $500 a month for this. I just, I wouldn't, and then if they want like mega, like, 10 posts per day on all channels and stuff, now we're getting a little bit higher dollar. We're probably going to be in the at least close to the $1,000 range, like $997, something like that. Yeah, and then if you're wanting to offer later on the upsell of, like, you'll do the engagement and stuff, then that's where we're getting into the $1,500-$1,700 a month type of thing. So I mean, that's just so valuable. Yeah, so that's what I do, and how I price it is I figure out, what the package is, and then I literally will have ChatGPT do the research for me. And then let me go ahead, while we're talking about ChatGPT, I want to show you guys, this is just going to be some ChatGPT kind of information. So we know that it does the browse and stuff like that, but it also has something that is called deep research. All right. That is really where it'll scour, and it does like PhD level. It's like you get to hire a PhD to do the research for you, and it'll kind of have sources. It'll come up with a whole pricing strategy and justify why that's the right pricing, and look at others that are pricing it similarly, and do a competitive analysis and all that type of thing. And you get with I mean, this is really, really crazy good. All right. And so you might want to even do that, David, to get a good idea and get really tight information on pricing. Okay, so
David's got a follow-up on the other end of things. How much should they budget more or less for costs to run this?
yeah, that's a really good question. So your costs are going to be basically it's the open AI for the most part, because your make.com, that might be $9 or $20 a month or something, depending on the number of executions and stuff. But the costs are going to be inside of their open AI. And what you're going to want to do is I would have a separate open AI API key for each client. All right. And then in order for you to manage it, you don't want to put any thresholds on it, but you want to do an alert to where, say you did budget, say $50 worth of usage fees of the API. And so you set an alert. So if it gets close to that, you're kind of aware of that. All right. But it's going to depend on your the more complex the prompt is for more specific content. And then if you have like specific imagery, like you want them like photorealistic and this and that, then it's going to probably cost a little bit more for that type of stuff in the OpenAI usage fees, in the tokens. We call tokens basically. So but I think that $75 a month is a good place to start. I think that's probably high, depending on, yeah, I don't think it's going to be that much. I would be surprised if it was that much for 3 to 5 times a day on all these 4 channels. I don't think it's going to be that much, but if you wanted to budget that, and then you'll get a feel for it as as you do a couple and do your own, you'll see how much it is and stuff, basically. For the text, it's not as much. When we're talking video and creating videos and stuff, it does get quite a bit higher, for sure. So,
Cool beans.
yeah.
Patricia, I sent you an email to your email that starts with the 3 letters WEB. So check that out. Make sure if you have any further problems, just email me back there. We'll get you straightened out. Anything else, guys? While we've got Gloria right here. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Phenomenal information. Now, we are going to have awesome, Patricia. So if you need me anymore, just hit me up there. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. Glory, right after this is over, you want to hop on
Yeah.
Skype real fast. We'll figure out a time for that.
Yeah.
It's going to be, everything's at 3 o'clock Eastern time, but it'll be either 3 o'clock a week from today or a week from tomorrow, one or the other. But I'm going to put the link to that. Okay, the link with all the phone numbers where you call in, blah, 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 blah. Those Zoom links are like huge. I'm going to pop that into the members area, and we will see y'all next week. I would really encourage, y'all to get in on this. Start doing it, start trying to do it. Go ahead and get frustrated. Go ahead and, bump your head against the wall. Because if you do that, then when you get on the Zoom meeting, you'll know the specific questions to ask, and we will get you straightened out very, very rapidly. Yes, David, that's the idea. Glory, thank you so much. Awesome information.
Yeah, hope you guys got value out of it. And yeah, we'll see you in the Zoom meeting. And if there's anything, just hit us up.
Cool beans.
All
See y'all
right.
later.
Thanks. All right. Bye-bye, guys.